Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. Okay? And we were just talking about Jesus. Today's a title. What's our title here? Overcoming Life's Challenges with the Teachings of Jesus. Okay, now, Jesus had master teaching of how to work life. Okay, wasn't Jesus doing anything other than sharing the ideas of who we really are? And that whole thing has been kind of shifted throughout. So I want to talk about a basic, that there's a system in the universe. And the system is called God. Now, we have a name for that energy that's everywhere present. And what's interesting is most of the religions of the world talk about a general energy which is everywhere present. You go back 6,000 years and the Tao talked about this undescribable energy that's everywhere present, and everybody is part of it, and it is in everything and is everything. Okay? Then Jesus came along and had a system, and he said the kingdom of heaven is within. He also said, these things I have done, you will do. He said that in John 14. So there must be a system that makes the universe work for us. Jesus is even quoted saying, know ye not that ye are gods? Did you hear that? And some of these things have been slowly plastered over, and we have forgotten who we really are. Okay, now that's my message. But we need to spend some time with that. And the couple characteristics that we need to look at in developing that. So how do I know that I am really a child of God? Genesis 1:27, I keep going back to it over and over again, says that we are created in the image and natural likeness of God. And then in the New Testament, in John, I think, Jesus said, God is spirit and must be worshipped in spirit and in truth. Everybody got that? What is spirit? It's an energy. It's not a form. It's not a... See, even an idol, something that we have to say, well, that's holy. Well, it's holy because we make it holy, because we are the expression of God, which is part of the teachings of Jesus. Okay? So if that's true, they sure don't look that way. Anybody familiar with chaos? What's happening in our world? Living. Help me. See, I get lonely up here. So. Where'd you say, Grace?
I said there's plenty of chaos right now.
Chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah, always. Okay, health-wise, anybody involved in politics at all? How about culture? Okay, what's going on racially? What's going on culturally? What's going on in the world? It seems that we are separate and everybody's fighting each other in some form or another. One of the greatest lessons that Jesus talked about was separation is the problem, and was the original, if you call it error, that we accomplished when we separated and said we are not God, we are form. And we're going to show you how good we are at that form, and we've been fighting that fight ever since. So instead of defining the different identities, spiritually, what's the thing? To look at we're together spiritually. And one of the basic premises is we are one. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean we're one form. Would you agree? In other words, I'm looking at all of you, and would you agree we cannot merge together? Okay? No matter how we try, I can give you all kinds of hugs, we can get all kinds of wrapped around each other, we are still separate. Yes?
Yes.
So in the form, in the material human, we are separate. Which is what we have come to believe. And Jesus said, we're together, we're one. The kingdom of heaven is where? Within. It's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. So there's a system in the universe that there's an energy for good everywhere. Which is over at the Center for Spiritual Living, they teach that there is one presence in the environment, okay? And there's a presence for good everywhere. Now, what's interesting is, and I'm I really don't quite understand the whole theory, but quantum physics is now proving that everything is energy at a high rate of vibration and frequency. Okay, which is, you talk about the string theory. String theory means basically that everything is associated, and once I associate, or atoms associate, they are the same. And when I separate them, even though they're a couple hundred miles away, they still change exactly when I change one, they change the other at a subatomic level. Okay, now I don't understand that. As a matter of fact, Einstein called it spooky energy at a distance. And he said you can't do that. God can do all kinds of things because it's an energy, it's a system set up to give us what we need and what we want. And how do we influence that energy for good? Through our thinking. Now, anybody agree our thinking's gotten kind of messed up? Okay? So how do we shift that back into an energy for good? Okay? And it starts here. Okay? It says if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Craziness. Absolutely nuts. Jesus said that. Okay? So there must be something there. And Jesus was the model. He developed who he was as a spiritual energy. And then he said, these things I do, you shall do. And so he was giving us a model on how to get there. Okay, everybody got it? The problem is the model is a spiritual model. It is not a form model. So no matter how many times I don't want to go there. I was going to say cross yourself, stand on your head hoping, and twirl. There's all these issues that religions have put together to say, oh, that's holy, you're going to become right. Okay? So, and that was said in Matthew 17:20. Okay? So, faith. What is faith? Faith is belief in things unseen. Yes? Now, what does that mean? It's not natural. The world has taught us you got to be fearful. You got to watch out for those people that aren't the same color that you are. You have to be careful with those cotton-picking Republicans or Democrats. They might get you, and they're going to ruin our society. Oh my God! Okay, so we are sold a bill of goods that we are separate. Okay, now why would an energy want to do that? What is the purpose behind a false energy doing those things? What's the outcome?
Control.
Say again.
Control.
Control?
Manipulation.
Manipulation. Through fear. Okay, so where do I have to have faith? I have faith in things, beliefs in things not seen. And not seen is what? Energy. So I have the capability, you ready, as a child of God, as an energy of divinity, which is what I am, to change my thinking and change the outcomes in a physical form. Okay, that's the system. Everybody got it? Okay? And that song we just sang, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Stop fearing. Stop listening to old stories. Decide what's true for you and stay there. Okay? Pretty simple, yes? But yet we have to keep it complicated and mystical. Some of us have spent years in the woo-woo area. Because someday if I did this, or we take these ideas and put them over here to become enlightened. And then we get, these things are all distorted. And it all comes down to separation, somebody giving us ideas that aren't true for ourselves. So who are we? Child of God. What are the pictures I hold of the child of God? Well, do you understand we sang all that stuff in the beginning of our church service, didn't we? Okay, they did a great job, by the way. But the words were spiritual words, telling you where you are, who you are. And then we even sang, Don't Worry, Be Happy. And we did it over and over and over again, which is the key to the whole situation. So what runs us? Fear. People manipulating the knob of fear for their personal outcomes and control. And if we can separate people into groups and continue that separation, we can control them. Is that true? This is yes, this is no. Thank you. And it's really almost that simple. And please understand, the whirling dervishes whirl so that they lose consciousness and become one with that energy. Okay? The Tao, anybody ever been around the Tao? The Lao Tzu, 6,000 years ago, talked about that mystical energy that was in everything. Okay? All religions talk about some form of nirvana, Shambhala, whatever the place of divine, wonderful paradise is. It's all part of different religions. And there's all stories on how to get there. But Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is where? Within. So now we go down here. When you pray, go into your room. So the way to get in contact here is prayer. And everybody teaches prayer. Okay? Now, it fascinates me. It really amazes me when I hear, anybody heard great prayers? Beautiful. Okay? But Jesus said, close the door. Okay? He didn't say, speak fancy words. He didn't talk about those things. Okay? He said, when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. What does unseen mean? Where are we again? Right back to God is what? Spirit. Energy. And my job is to get in touch with that energy and harmonize with it. Now, the word harmonize means we interlock with it and we come out with a better frequency. Musicians will tell you, anybody familiar with disharmony? And see, anytime there's frequencies involved, the frequencies merge together and create a new frequency. Okay, so how do we know that the frequencies we're thinking are creating a new frequency that we want? When I'm in fear, what do I create? Fear. I take the God energies and I put a disharmony energy with it and come out with sickness or whatever it is. Okay, so we're going back to, again, a spiritual basis. That anything that happens is part of my creation. Because I think this way and I'm taking the energies of God and putting my thought on top of it, and then I don't like what happens. Okay? Am I being clear enough? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Okay, so everybody got that? Mm-hmm. Now, when you pray, go into your room, close the door. What does that mean?
Go within.
Huh?
Go within.
Yeah, within.
It means don't be showy. You don't need to have anybody see you.
In other words, those fancy words don't mean a thing. Okay, it's the energies that are on top of it. Now, you got to go back 2,000, 2,200 years and know what it was like living in a Jewish or Israeli home at that time. Okay? Anybody know?
Common spaces?
No, there was one big room. Everybody got it? And usually, believe it or not, if you were a shepherd, you had the sheep in that big room with you. The family lived there, cooked there, ate there, and they had one room to store the goodies. That's called the closet. So, that's metaphorically leaving everything behind and going into the secret place, which is a place of solace, silent with the door closed behind you, away from everything that might interact with you at that time, which means total silence, total quiet, total energetic awareness, which takes time. In our culture, one of the problems is, I love you, bye. Send some sunshine and get to Hawaii. She's going to Hawaii, by the way.
So another thought about close the door, to me that also tells me to kind of close the door on my thoughts.
Everything.
I mean, trying to get to that space of
Yeah.
where, you know, I'm silent.
Yeah. And the common comment that when people talk about meditation is, I can't stop my mind, I can't slow down. Well, that's called training. Because we're trained to think. You know, really, we're trained to think. I think. Okay, you got to talk. How do you feel? Well, let me tell you how I feel. We're ready to tell anybody how we feel at any time. And I'm talking about myself. Okay, as a matter of fact, that's why I do what I do, so you can listen to it. But the idea behind it is, you're right. Total, absolute stop thinking. And when that occurs at the neurological level, the Spirit of God takes over. Now, there's more and more, you got me off on a tangent, because there's more and more work of the different organs that are in the brain. And the pineal gland, which is right between, which sits up like a little pine cone this way, right in the middle of the left side and right side of the brain, it's an antenna, they believe, for divine divinity. Okay, so it's actually going through that place, holding the energy there, and allowing the energy to quietly help you quiet down. See, once you, and this takes time, but you have to decide to do it. In other words, we can teach everything all the time, but until you do something and retrain your brain, I'm still at the, it's like, why do I have a bad back right now? Because I haven't trained it yet, that there's only God in my back, okay? Which is, I have to accept that, okay? So, and I'm going way off on a tangent now, but you're right. Okay, it's a silence, and once you get into that silence, it's beautiful. And really, the key to it is stay there. And in the beginning, it's only 10 seconds, okay? But it takes time to get there. It takes time, okay? And it starts 30 seconds at a time, and then continuing the training on and on. Because the brain has been trained to be active. Now, why does the brain keep firing thoughts at us? Why is it true that my mind is full of stuff, that I start worrying?
Well, that its job is to figure stuff out.
Yeah. See, the ego has been trained to keep me from doing that. And I know that, see, we're an advanced group right now. So, you know, if the average individual said, well, that's one second. I almost said crap, but anyway. But do you understand? That's what we're dealing with, is the humanness that we are that has taken over our God self. Okay? So, close the door. Peace I live with you, my peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. How does the world give peace?
It doesn't.
Huh?
It doesn't. The world is full of unpeace.
Yes.
So you find the peace. It's within.
Yeah. The world has been looking for peace for how many years? There are wars and rumors of wars. The Bible said X number of thousand years ago. Is that true today? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to talk about the Mideast right now. Everybody agrees in a turmoil.
It's always been in turmoil.
Yeah. And they've all been hating each other because they've been trained to hate each other.
That's true.
They've been trained, they're not trained as a spiritual being to love. Okay? So how do we get that training? The kingdom of heaven is within. It's up to us individually, one at a time, to develop the peace called love. And Jesus is saying here, peace I live with you, my peace I give you. I don't give it the world gives. I give you spiritually. I talk about it. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. Right back to, don't worry, be happy. Yes?
Yes.
It's right there. Is there more?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all you.
You gave me a lot of quotes.
I was like it kept coming this week. Hi, Comfort.
Listening to you, for me, it's just, we've forgotten. Human beings have forgotten that they're a bunch of energy.
Yes.
And if we're energy formed, the ultimate makeup of us is freedom. And you cannot claim that you're better than me, or
No.
I'm shorter than you, or because energy has to be free.
Yes.
But we've been trying to be separate all along. Human beings have been trying to be separate.
Yeah.
I want to be separate because I'm better than you.
Yeah.
I want to be separate because I know better than you. I want to be separate. So, because energy cannot be, restricted, just like the air cannot be restricted.
The air is the air.
Yeah.
Available to everybody. Correct.
Because all we've been doing is fighting to be separate. So because we are trying to be separate from the originality of all that we are, the allness of God, freedom. So when we are trying to be separate, it's saying, no, I'm not formed, I'm not like that. I'm just absolute freedom.
Okay. Do you wonder why she's called Comfort?
I was just listening to you and I realized that
Day by
this
day.
is nonsense.
Day by day. Day by day. And see, it starts with an idea in the mind, and the mind continues to work on it, and it can go either way. It can go into the victimhood, and the victimhood means I have to fight back, and of course that's where competition comes from, because I have to compete, I have to be better, and the only way I can do that is overcome you. That's the world's thinking, okay? And that's why we're separate. Even money doesn't, we separate each other by money, resources, but all these things are part of us as a child of God, okay? And this is a hard message, okay? Thank you. Let me see what else I've got. In this world you will have trouble. Agreed?
Yeah.
Now, if you pray, here's the key. If you pray for peace, what do you have to learn? Unpeace, yes. You see, if I'm in a turmoil myself and I start praying or asking for peace, I have to get lessons on where I am not peaceful. So what am I going to get? Turmoil. And the only way to learn peace is to go back into what Jesus taught, go back into the closet, look at love, look at who I am, look at what he said. See, we got this thing all turned around, but the truth has been there. And it's in that silly song, or that wonderful song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Okay? I have overcome the world. Now, what's interesting is, you remember, there's a difference between I and I am. The I am is the part of you that is the Christ. By definition. Did you see that? I just realized I had a figure. Okay. But the I is a personal pronoun. The I am is the Christ who you are. So I am is the energy that has overcome the world. Your world. Not my world, not
Terry's world.
Terry's world. Okay? And you can look at somebody and say, wow, they really have it together. That's just a model for who you can be. Okay? Now, is this easy? No. I'm not saying you can fall off a turnip truck and turn this thing around overnight. Okay? But there it is, John 16:33. Okay, anybody, you want to talk about that? I am, yes.
Well, so, in addition to the I am being perfection and divinity, I also think Jesus was saying that individually, he found the way to overcome the
Yes.
world by going within, by being peaceful, by, why are we here? We're here to show up as peace and love. We're not here to show up as the other. And so he's like, these
That's it.
things I did and you can do even better. And he's like, hey, you know,
See, we're going
Secret
back to
sauce.
why he was here. He was here to show us how to do it. These things I do, you shall do, and even greater things. Did he say that? Yeah. Okay, now some of these interpretations have been changed around a little bit, but that's okay. All right? So, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And the key there is your soul and all your mind. Love the Lord your God. When you're loving God, what are you doing? What is the state of that? How do you describe that? It says soul and mind.
Yeah.
in entirety with
Completely. In other words, we let ourselves be overcome with the energy of God, which is the energy for good in the universe. So what would it be like to go through life knowing only good? See, we're back to the word faith. Where is your faith? Do you have faith in what's happening out there, or do you have faith that I live in an energy of good? And that's the one. Now, honestly, most people, the world out there, I can hear you're crazy. Today, even my family, Dad, you're over the top. Okay. They've been around me for a while, but yet they're building me a house. Isn't that neat? Family night. So, love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Right back to what comfort was saying, right? What does that mean?
See him as yourself.
What?
See your neighbor as yourself.
Your neighbor is actually yourself,
Exactly.
is ultimately what we're looking at. And we all have the same needs, we all have the same fears, we all have the same everything. And it's learning to meld, remember the energies, frequencies. See, not forms, you can't get forms together, but you can merge energies and come out with another energy. So if I merge my energies with God and with the next door neighbor, do you understand what comes out is a higher level of being. So the only way to get peace is give up all of what's wrong and what? Don't worry, be happy. As the state of life. Okay? With God, all things are possible. What does that mean?
exactly what.
This is what Jesus taught, okay? And he's laid it out here, okay? And the truth is, we forget it, or at least I do. I know you're much better. See, we have to categorize. We really do. Okay, and with God all things are possible. The kingdom of heaven is with each one. By the way, that is my editing each one of us, because I don't want to leave you out. But the kingdom of heaven is where?
Within it.
And do you understand people go out of their way to change that? They can't handle that. That's blasphemous. You're saying that you are God. Yep, that's what he said. Over and over and over again. Comments? No questions?
I like the, with God all things are possible, like the width. You know, width, through, you know, in alignment with. You know, that's a really important first word, that width.
The phrase, well, what if? What if I believe that everything is good? And my energy actually created good for me? What would happen if I reached the point where my mind really believes that I'm healthy, happy, and whole? Which is what we affirm when we sing in the morning. The word whole means everything is copacetic. Big word. Everything is in harmony. Everything is true. which is the whole desire. That's what we want. That's why we're looking for the Holy Grail. So the Holy Grail is really within my mind and what I create. Okay? And we all have different, I looked over at Larry, and we all have different lanes. We all have different things to do. Just because Larry's a great guitarist, and I want to learn how to play the guitar, guess what? Not my lane. It isn't. But Larry has a lane that's working. Larry and Susan together. Okay? And then Victoria, so everybody is part of that, but we all have different lanes. And what are you good at? What are you here for? What is your purpose? You're not here to sit and idly criticize everybody. You're here to add to the community through your love of whatever it is you do. And what I can remember being told the key to it is find a need in people and supply that need for them. One of the basics of success. And it took me years to finally get that in a spiritual way. Okay, but that's a basic truth, yes? Okay.
So I think this is an appropriate time and place to share this, especially with this message. So, part of overcoming life's challenges, I think, is, you have a plan. You have a plan on something you're going to do, or you have a plan, and then that plan doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden something shifts, right? And then you're like, oh, okay, well, what? And I think that's being open to that. So most of you know I'm on the LUT path, which means Licensed Unity Teacher. And so I've done all of my SEE, spiritual education and enrichment courses. I've done all the prerequisites. And so I've been waiting. So the next step is that you do a big old application, they evaluate you, they interview you, and then you get to go to school to be an LUT. And so we've been kind of waiting for the process, filling out the application, and then I got an email. And so part of this is that I have not been interested in going onto the board because as an LUT, you cannot serve on the board. Mm-hmm. That's, so I pushed, like, I'm not going to be on the board, I'm not going to be on the board, this is my path, this is my focus. And so this week I got an email from Unity Worldwide Ministries that they are now only going to one application period per year for LUT and ministers. And so it has been pushed back to applying towards the end of the year, and then not even getting to be interviewed until March of 2026. So basically just the whole process. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is God telling me, hey, look, maybe that's not your immediate path. Like, maybe it's time to step into putting my name in the bag.
I nominate Valerie.
All in favor?
I'm really laughing.
And there's been a lot of prayer, and I talked to Greg because I'm not the only one, affected by this. And but I just think it's really interesting how you can say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna plan this, I'm gonna work towards this, and then you have to be okay if that doesn't manifest in the way or the timing or the shape that you think it's going to. And you're like, okay, well, here's this other opportunity and overcoming that friction about, okay, but this isn't what I wanted to do, and am I willing to step into doing something that I hadn't planned, doing something that didn't feel like it fit into my timing, and knowing that I don't know what that's going to look like. But it's I think that's the whole thing about, working the program, putting the principles into action, and being willing to let go of what you thought you wanted, and being willing to do something different, and not knowing what it's going to look like.
Well,
Yes.
I have been, like the last year or two, I was constantly thinking, there is something I'm supposed to do. I don't know what it is, but I know there is something. Something's coming that I need to do. And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't make my plans, I just knew something was coming, and then it just showed up.
Yeah.
And that is volunteering for the administrative job. And I knew completely that is what I needed to do. It had to be volunteer, and that is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm real clear. I'm just really clear on it.
You see,
But I've been thinking about for the last year. There's something I need to do. There's something coming. There has to be some reason why I'm still here. And then it showed up, and I knew right away that was it.
and you stepped into it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You have a lot to be happening. It'll be interesting, fascinating. See, even scheduling, who's gonna do things here, who's gonna be the speaker, who's gonna set up the chairs, all this stuff has to be done, folks. Okay, and it's coming together. Okay, I'm laughing at D is an LUT, right? So you do have representation if it works out that way, as a credentialed leader with Unity Worldwide Ministries. Isn't it interesting? Dee, how long have you been here? A year?
Here?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Forever? I'm not sure.
Do you understand how things
I
are
remember
coming?
y'all were eating when
Yeah.
I walked in the door and I said, that's it.
So we couldn't, do you understand? We couldn't have planned all this. Valerie, all these things happening. Folks, I had no idea what Matt and I were gonna do. Remember? And I had agreed to be here until I was 85. Guess what? February 8th. So all these things come together. Okay? Comfort books are called. We got it. What time is it?
11:36, sir.
Okay.
Oh, MJ.
I had a long challenge of teachers, or call it ministers, or LUT, or even teachers. Because for me, I refused to be a teacher. Why? Because I said, all that teachers do is point out all the wrong things. And then you tried it.
True.
You did it wrong. You did it wrong. So children go home crying, and they are all worked up. You know, somebody said it's as simple as ABC. I said, no, it wasn't as simple as ABC when I was in elementary school. I have to cry and say, I want to make sure I get it right before my teacher, because I don't want to go home and my parents said, weren't you listening? So, and then it came to spirituality, and I said, I really don't understand. Jesus didn't have to go to any school. He just knew that he was one with the Father. He
And
didn't
you
have,
are. You are.
he didn't have to struggle to know whether he did it right. Because I write my own life history or where I come from. And when I write my own, it can never be one with yours. Not even with somebody from the same womb with me.
Yeah.
So everybody said, oh, Comfort, you have to go to school. You have to go to do LUT, go to do this, and tell us what. I said, recently, a friend of mine, all of them in African region, just said, Comfort, you need to go to this. I said, okay, I started. But then at one point, all I do is watching what my teacher would say. And then I realized, God, please, help me not to judge. Just help me. Let me just keep my ear and eye and everything open. So we all have at one stage or the other where we doubt that we're getting the right thing, that we're really being shown the light that we are, either because of the behavior of a teacher or behavior that we compare. We begin to compare ourselves to what my neighbor does.
Competition.
And it doesn't feel good. If we are energy, we just have to be free.
kingdom of heaven is within.
Exactly,
And you are your own teacher. I love
exactly.
it. Love it. Okay. MJ, you want to talk?
Yeah, we were talking about going into that closet,
Yes.
shutting that
Exactly.
door, getting still, put that little monkey mind on the back burner here and breathe in spirit. And God says, if I close one door, I'll always open another door.
Absolutely.
So, mind, when you listen with your ears, you're hearing what's going on. When you're in silence with God and
Yep.
trusting Him, your mind is listening to what He is telling us to do. May not happen right then, but you can take it to the bank. It's going to happen.
Correct. You get original information from Spirit. Okay? We're way over time.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. What's next?
Say goodbye.
The offering?
Offering.
Say goodbye to Facebook.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.